What's up, boys and girls? So let's talk about percentages in training. Why do we use percentages? What do percentages even mean? So this was originally for my MSP 543 program, but I decided to make this video public for everyone because it's a useful subject. And most people don't really understand how the percentages work. So that said, you're doing a training program and you see that the training program uses these numbers. So I'll give an example. Let's say you see that you're supposed to do 3 sets of 5 reps, and you should do this at 80%. 80% of what? Percentages are based on the idea of using your 1 rep maximum as a starting point to periodize, to plan out your strength gains. So it's a way just to use numbers objectively. 80% of your 1 rep maximum. So if we were to erase this for a minute, if we were to assess somebody's strength levels and the heaviest weight that you could lift for 1 rep max, that equals 100% of your possible strength. So if we take 80% of this number, that will obviously be a lighter weight than doing 1 rep max, and we'll do multiple reps. And as we increase the reps we can do with this 80% weight, this 1 RM weight should also go up. So by building our base strength in this lower intensity range, we're going to build our strength in this upper intensity maximum range. And this is really the foundation of scientific strength training. You're taking someone's strength levels, you're applying numbers to them, percentages, and then you're basing your training on those numbers on that current level of strength. And over time, as your reps go up with these relatively lighter weights, your strength goes up with the very heavy weights. That's how percentages work. And percentages can go from 100%, which is a 1 rep max. They can go to 2, to 3, to 4. You could even go to something like a 20 rep max if you want, which that would be about 60% of your 1 rep max. And at 20 reps, this range is not really going to increase your maximum strength that much, but I'm just, for the sake of example, showing you that you can apply the numbers all the way down to even very high rep ranges. So how do you figure out your maximums though? Well, to do that, you have to figure out what your 1 rep max is in the gym, and you want to do that safely. So the way that you typically want to do it, and this is specifically for barbell lifts, finding 1 rep maximums for other lifts, let's say like a leg press or a bicep curl, you hypothetically could, but isolation exercises or even machines, they tend to be poor choices for 1 rep maxes. Number one being nobody cares what you can lift for 1 rep on a leg press. Number two, because of the way they are designed, or because of the structural limitations of the exercise, it's almost impossible to find a 1 rep maximum. It can be very dangerous, and there's just no need to do it. So with 1 rep maximums with percentages, we're typically referring to barbell lifts or something that's like a safety bar squat, trap bar deadlift, barbell lifts or something similar. But finding a 1 rep max, how do we do that? Well, you always want to warm up. So you'd want to warm up, and this could be 10 to 20 reps, usually with like an empty bar. Hopefully this is showing up. Empty bar, you warm up, and then you can start going in sets of 3 to 5 reps. And you start adding weight. So it could look something, let's say like the bar's 45, and let's say your 1 rep max for a squat is 400 pounds. It's 4 plates aside. So you can go 45, let's say you do 20 reps with empty bar, and then because you're pretty strong, you add a plate, you do 135 for 5, you add, let's say, a quarter, you do 185, maybe for 3, and then 225, you do that for 3. Whoops. Don't know my own strength. And you keep adding plates and quarters. Let's say you do 275 for 3. And maybe here, as you get closer to 300 pound range, now you do 315. Maybe you do 1. Maybe you want to do a little more warming up. You do 385 for 1, and then finally you do 405 for 1 rep. And this is your 1 rep max. And this is done without a spotter. You have the safety rail set up, you're doing it safely, but this is no spotter, there's nobody helping you. And this is the weight that you know for a fact that you can lift for 1 full range of motion repetition or with control, all the way down, all the way up, and that's your 1 RM. And this is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is 9 to 10 warm-up sets. Depending upon how strong you are, if your 1 rep max is only 225, you're not going to need to take 9 warm-up sets. The stronger you are, the more warm-ups you need. But you found your 1 rep max, and now when you do your programming, and you're doing, let's say, sets at 70% or 75%, or 85%, whatever the case may be, they're based off of this number for your training program. And this applies to every lift. This applies to the bench press. This applies to the deadlift. It applies to all your barbell lifts. You figure out your 1 RM. That 1 rep max equals 100%. Let me do it over here. This is 100%, and then you use that number to calculate out your other lifts. And depending upon the program, some programs will tell you to take this number and then reduce it by 10% down to 90% and use that as your 1 rep max. And so these numbers, might be even lower. That can work. It's always better to start off lighter in a strength training program than trying to start super heavy. Whether you want to do that, it depends on the program. That can work really well. Sometimes it's not necessary. I think if you're starting off at 70%, you probably don't need to do that. But again, depends upon who designed the workouts that you're following. Neither way is right or wrong. This is personal preference, depending upon the practitioner. So that's how percentages work. That's how you determine 1 RM. And then as they are using a program, could be 70%, doing 85%, could be 80%. Your volume, your sets and reps, it's going to depend upon the percentage you're using and the programming. That's kind of its own topic at that point, explaining how percents and volume work. But hopefully this makes it a bit more clear for you guys where the percentages even come from and how to find your maximums. And if you have any questions, make sure to post in the comments and like and subscribe for more videos.